Just a few minutes ago, I just finished getting the Platinum Trophy in Expedition 33, and wow, what an experience. An incredible story, incredible gameplay, and an absolutely wonderful soundtrack that I cannot say enough about. All of that came together to create a game that is genuinely incredible, and it's a cornerstone RPG that I think we will remember for a very long time. Most of what makes Expedition 33 great is tried and true mechanics that we have seen before, although they do it very well and they even put some modern sensibilities on them. With how big this game has become, it's only natural that other developers out there are going to look at Expedition 33 as a source of inspiration for their games going forward. With that in mind, there are three specific aspects that came to mind when playing Expedition 33 that I would love to see other RPGs implement in their games. These three aspects are not specific necessarily to Expedition 33. A lot of things that I'm going to talk about have been done in other games before, but Expedition 33 has shown that these elements can be used in a modern RPG to very, very overwhelming success. Another thing is I want to make sure that I'm very clear that I don't want all RPGs to just suddenly become the exact same game over and over. I don't want to see Expedition 33 remade essentially in other skins. I want to see new games that keep iterating and developing on ideas, just like Expedition 33 did with very classic ideas. So the first thing that I hope that I see in other turn-based RPGs is the more interactive battle system, so the attack and parry timings. Now again, this is probably, in terms of the three things I'm going to talk about, this is one that I hope we don't see in every single turn-based RPG. I loved it in Expedition 33, don't get me wrong. But sometimes when I play a turn-based RPG, I just want to sit back and relax. With that said, I would love to see more games encourage some more interactive play styles with the turn-based battle system. I think Expedition 33 does a pretty good job, although there is room for improvement. Obviously, this has been done before, all the way going back as far as like Super Mario RPG and one of my personal favorite games, The Legend of Dragoon. But Expedition 33 takes this, especially the defensive parry mechanics, to a whole nother level. And in fact, if you do not learn to parry, you're going to have a really tough time in this game. The one thing about this system that I really loved with Expedition 33 is that there is not a single fight in this game that you cannot complete no matter what level you are at. With enough skill and patience, you can pretty much beat any fight. And that is great. I like that. I like being able to test myself with overworld enemies that I have no business fighting, but I just want to learn their attack patterns so I can get that perfect rundown with that ultimate triumph of like 35 minutes of gameplay when I can just come back like a few hours later and beat them in like a handful of seconds. It still feels really fun. It's fun for me, that challenge. And I would love to see other RPGs implement this system that kind of keeps you from ever really truly being underleveled, because your skill can make up the difference. And that was a lot of fun in this game. But again, this is something that I would like to see iterated upon in future games. One thing that I thought Expedition 33 kind of lacked in with the interactivity is that the attack QTEs never really felt connected to the attacks themselves. I felt like I was just kind of pressing the X button randomly, and of course I was trying to time it with what was on screen, the prompts, but they really never felt connected to the actual attacks the characters were doing. Compare this with something like The Legend of Dragoon, for example, where every button press that you are doing when you're controlling those characters, it is very clear that your button press is contributing to the combo that those characters are doing in the battles. Again, this is something I did love in Expedition 33, but I do think it's something that could be improved in future games. A huge blast from the past in Expedition 33 was when I left the Spring Meadows for the first time and I was on an overworld again. I feel like I haven't been on an overworld in an RPG in forever. I don't even know when the last time it's been like this. All these games nowadays are really trying to go with the seamless open world idea. And that's really cool. Do not get me wrong. Like, I love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it tried to really connect its world in a very seamless way. And I thought that was really great. But all of these games, like, these developers do not have the same resources that Square Enix did to create that crazy seamless world in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Expedition 33 is proof that an RPG can have an overworld in the modern landscape with more photorealistic graphics, and it doesn't take away from anything. I love exploring overworlds in RPGs. It's so awesome when you can like find this random secret in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly you find an awesome weapon. Or in this case, you're finding like gestural mini games to play. Or you're finding... what was I gonna say? You're finding like Lumina points or whatever. There is so much to be found in this overworld. There's so many different locations, many of which are not even required. There is a lot of reward for those who are willing to go out of their way to look in all the nooks and crannies of the map. And I love that. It's easier to do that in an overworld. So like developers, I think, would have an easier time implementing these things in an overworld. And for me personally, I love that feeling of discovery. And it's clear that you don't have to sacrifice, your immersion with an overworld. Expedition 33 had me immersed from beginning to end. And obviously it took very full advantage of that overworld. The other thing that the overworld helps is it helps the developers to focus on individual locations and make them so distinct from each other, even though they are still in the same world. One thing you always notice is you can pretty much see the monolith from every single location in the game. There's that looming presence of the paintress, always in the distance, everywhere you go. No matter what location you're exploring, you're still reminded you're in the same world. But all these locations are so varied and distinct that they are such a joy to explore. My personal favorite comes very early on. I don't remember the name, but it's like I think it's Flying Waters. It's Flying Waters, it's very early on. I love that environment. The fact that you're kind of underwater, there's fish flying around you, there's like these coral reefs you're exploring. It's a beautiful location, and I have no idea how you would make this work in a seamless open world. I just don't get how you could do that. But that's why the overworld is nice, because you go to this place on the map, you press X or square or whatever it is to go in, and suddenly you're in this beautiful world. That doesn't break the immersion for me. To me, it's awesome. I'm always wondering what these new locations are going to look like, and I think that the overworld allows developers to really create distinct and varied locations without really having to worry about making it make sense in an open world. The final thing that I hope that other RPGs take note of from Expedition 33 is its length. If we look back to the days of Chrono Trigger is considered to be one of the best video games of all time. And one thing that every single person praises about that game is its length. It takes like 25 hours or 30 hours to 100% the whole thing. So why? Why do we not take the length as an inspiration? I feel like so many games nowadays are trying to brag about being hundreds of hours long, but like 70% of those hours are just meaningless, or they're bearable at best. I'm not really having fun. I'm just playing to play. I'm checking off things on a checklist just for no reason other than to complete them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll be the first to say that I love a big, meaty game every once in a while. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a perfect example of an RPG that is a humongous game with a bunch of content, and I loved it. Persona series, again, same thing. But not every single game needs to be this 100-hour quest that's going to just take so much time wasting your time. With shorter games like Expedition 33, and by the way, I completed Expedition 33 in about 20 hours for the main story. I just hit the Platinum Trophy with around 40 hours. And I know I complete things a lot. I play through games a little bit quicker. That's obviously going to vary from person to person. But I love the condensed main story length. The 20-hour storyline, to me, that's pretty perfect for an RPG. It still gives you a massive scale. You can still travel to all these different locations, have huge set pieces. Obviously, there's intense character moments and intense moments that you are not going to forget, but every single thing you do in a 20-hour adventure feels meaningful to that adventure. It never feels like you're meandering for the sake of adding playtime. Everything you're doing is important, it's fun, it's progressing the main story, so it's keeping you invested, and it helps the pacing tremendously. Now, by Act 3, when the world opens up, that's where every single RPG, I feel like, or every single open world game, anything like this, where you have a bunch of side content towards the end, the pacing really suffers if you do the side content, because then you'll do like 30 hours of side content, then jump back into the main mission and be like, okay, what is even going on in the story? I don't know. Well, that's not how I typically play games. Especially, I checked. I didn't see any spoilers, but I checked to make sure. It's like, if I complete the game, is there like a point I can return to go do the side content? And there is here. So that's a perfect decision to me. So I can go beat the main story, get the conclusion, understand what happens and where the story goes. But then, after 20 hours, I can go back and then do all the side content and all the exploration. And I never felt really burnt out with the game. The story was perfectly paced. I loved it. I had so much fun with the story. And then the side content, if I didn't want to do it, I could be done. I could be done with the game at 20 hours. And that to me is especially if it's more like a 6 or 7 out of 10 game, but I enjoyed the story enough but don't really want to play it, I would love to be done after 20 hours. When I see a game is 80 hours or more, I am just less likely to try it now. I'm getting older. I have more responsibilities, less time to play games, unfortunately. So when I see games like Expedition 33, where I saw reviews mentioning that it was on the shorter side, my hype levels went through the roof for this game. I really hope that more games, especially RPGs, because I love RPGs. I love building my characters, trying out different classes, coming up with new equipment, making numbers go up. We all love numbers go up. I want to play more RPGs. I do, but I don't have the time anymore. I just don't. So I'm missing RPGs over time. I still haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. And I know I would love that game, but everyone tells me it's like 100 hours long. And I just hear that number and I just instantly lose interest. And I honestly just get kind of overwhelmed. Like, I'm like, how am I supposed to fit that into my schedule? I know I would love it. So why don't I play it? Don't ask me. I know I should. I probably will. Maybe. Who knows? Well, if someone was glowing about a game, like, yeah, this game's really great. And I'm like, okay, how long is it? And they say 20 hours. I'm hooked. I'm going to try it. I am so much more willing to do that investment. It just feels more approachable to me. Now, I know that's not the most popular opinion. I know people really like really long games. More power to you. That's just something for me personally that I would like to see more in RPGs going forward. Again, there's a reason that we still love Chrono Trigger and we can still replay that game now. Or even like Earthbound. I still go back and play Earthbound like once every year or two. Those games are short, and at least in the grand scheme of RPGs. And I love that. So there you have it. Those are 3 aspects of Expedition 33 that I personally loved and I would love to see come back in more RPGs going forward. Again, these things are clearly not exclusive to Expedition 33. In fact, these are mechanics we have seen long before this game. But this game put it all in a modern package and it's doing crazy well. So other RPG developers can look at this and be like, okay, maybe an overworld will work out in the modern landscape after all. So what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with my thoughts here? Do you have other things you loved about Expedition 33 that you would love to see come back? Or other things that you absolutely hated about the game that you hope to never see again in other games going forward? If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to see you come back for a future one. And with that said, that's about it for me. Now I'm going to go write a million emails to Sony saying, look at the success of Expedition 33, okay? A Legend of Dragoon remake would be perfect right now. Please give it to me, Sony. And of course, keep the voice lines.